I'm glad I wasn't just some spoiled guy my whole life. Like, what would that be?
Where did you originally grow up, and then what was the point, maybe in junior high, high school, where you found this love for shooting competition, stuff like that?
Um, First house I think was Glendale. It was Ben Crosby's old house. Crazy story. My family had some decent money back then, and then we moved to Canoga Park. We had this amazing 2.5 acres across the street from a place called Shadow Ranch Park, which is still there. And they actually filmed a movie there a long time ago called The Children's Hour with Audrey Hepburn. And it's such a cool movie. It's a very controversial movie. It was the first time about a lesbian relationship. It was the first time about somebody getting canceled. It's so crazy to watch this movie, The Children's Hour. And that was my childhood back then. My mom and dad gave us a wonderful life. My dad started the first ever like PS storage kind of place called Garage Emporium in North Hollywood. And so we had this island house. We had a back pasture with 7 horses, every kind of animal, chickens, peacocks, guinea hens, all kind of lunacy. We had a tree house. We had everything. But my family raised us to not be spoiled, not to be jerks. Every kid from the neighborhood came, played there. We had fun. My mom put me in horse shows. I won all these horse show championships. It was super fun. The horse did all the work, Lightning. I just sat on there and got the trophy, and it was a wonderful time. Went to Chatsworth. It was just the most wonderful time. But it all kind of came to an end when, literally right when 1979 came, we had everything. My dad had a Dino Spider Ferrari. Took me to school in that car, and like a '72 Corvette Stingray, we were very humble and very kind to everyone. And then we lost everything. The garage place. We even had the original like Grizzly Adams like storing his stuff there. So dumb, Dan Haggerty. And then we lost everything. Had to go do door to door sales. And we got robbed. So we had all kind of guns. My mom and dad. My brother was the gun person, and he got me into shooting. I bought my first gun was a Colt Python. We loved Dirty Harry. So everybody's out going to the movies to see Star Wars, which I did see as a kid because I'm really old. I saw it as a child in the '70s. It was so fun. But I love Dirty Harry, Magnum Force, First Blood. That was kind of like my movies. I mean, I watch everything, but I was more in that vein. And we had 33 guns, and I never told the story before. I still have the list. Maybe I should have a cop like see if any turn up. But we were such morons that we didn't have a safe. We put all the guns on the wall, like engraved Bisleys, Colt Bisleys, hand inlaid grips on the cover of Guns and Ammo magazine. We had everything. And these kids, they used to come and play called the King Kids. There was a huge family: Tommy King, Billy King, Mikey King, Jimmy King, and all these kids. The one kid, Billy King, ended up getting like into drugs and stuff, and they robbed us one day of all the guns. And they were like stalking our property. They had shot rounds at the house. It went from like the most wonderful times to the darkest days of us staying up all night guarding the place. My mom was very ballsy. She figured out who did it and convinced them to return everything. And while that was happening across the street at Shadow Ranch Park, my brother was like, they were the 45 Colt Series 70 1911. And when they decided to do the deal and give the guns back, this guy Potter and this stupid Billy King scumbag, that they wouldn't put him in prison. We like negotiated to get the guns back. They knew they did it. The negotiation went well. And my brother went to put the gun back, and he didn't have the safety on. He shot a 230 grain full metal jacket right through his ass, through the top of his ass, out the bottom, into the dirt. We still have the bullet. Went to the hospital. They had to take this glass thing and run it through it was top of his ass cheek out the bottom, and cut out all this black burnt meat. It was just rough times, crazy stuff. Got all the guns back. Total morons. Like less than a year later, we didn't lock them up properly. The same people robbed even more. So they got almost all the guns this time. We lost everything. Family split up. We became door-to-door salesmen. We moved to Moore Park in 1980. And just basically just barely survived for many years until I started my company. Like we didn't have any money at all. Drove the most horrific car. You see, it's like the car in Terminator 2 that keeps getting hit over and over again
Yeah.
by that big brown junky looking car.
Yeah.
That was our. So then I worked security at like different places like where was it? It was Prudential and stuff like like that, and just barely made it, barely made it. Even when Top Shot was coming out, they wanted to put me on the show, and we had lost our paintball and our airsoft facility, and the county shut it down. And so I ended up, all I could do to survive was sell my personal guns to pay the mortgage and stuff like that. So, it was, that was kind of my childhood. It was amazing, then destroyed, but I'm glad, like, I lost everything. We lost my mom. I used to see her crying at night about losing everything. And I told her it's going to be okay. But I'm glad I wasn't just some spoiled guy my whole life. Like, what would that be? Like, I see some of these people, they're the sons of major movie stars, whatever. They don't didn't it doesn't build any kind of character. And we lost everything for 20 years or more. And to get it back and build it back, my mom was proud of me. She saw what I did in my shooting and how I was starting a company and everything before she died. And God has a plan for everything.
Yeah.
And that's the plan. I can't argue the script. I'm just some spoon-fed guy. Oh, I got my family money. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I don't want that. God has a plan, and it feels good to build your career and do your thing, not just have it handed to you.
One of the things I've noticed is whenever I meet someone who has always had money versus someone who didn't have money and then they do. Like, I have a friend of mine. He's a famous TV producer. The guy's worth $400 million, lives in Miami. I go stay at his place. You can tell he used to be broke. Like, there's a vibe around guys who used to be broke and then aren't. And there's this appreciation.